Hello, welcome. My name is Dan Meyer, Editor-in-Chief here at RCR Wireless News. Thanks for joining us this week on the NFV-SDN Reality Check. This week, we're going to look at some of the top news stories of the week, including Nokia setting up a deal with some companies in Finland, and also Oracle moving ahead with its SDN platform, as well as an interview with Tektronix on the state of the NFV market. But first, some business here.
Telecom Careers, the #1 global telecom and wireless job board, telecomcareers.com.
Hello and welcome. My name is Dan Meyer. I'm Editor-in-Chief here at RCR Wireless News. I'm joining you today from the RCR offices here in Denver, Colorado. Behind the scenes, we got Jeff working things for us back in the Austin headquarters. So we'll get to some of the big news for this week. Nokia this week announced a deal with a university in Finland, as well as some vendors, Corient and Expo, on working on some proof of concepts using SDN and NFV to enhance mobile backhaul services. Jeff, you can put the photo there of the Etsy building there. The entity said that they have developed an Etsy industry specifics group for NFV proof of concepts, say that really fast, that shows a virtualized LTE network applying SDN for mobile backhaul and transport on the network. The SDN-based platform is said to increase network economies due to the ability to use hardware for multiple functions. In other news this week, Oracle Communications recently unveiled its network service orchestration solution, which is targeting a very important market for the NFV and SDN platforms in the orchestration aspects of the networks. The move is using the NFV and SDN technology to help operators more efficiently run their networks. Jeff, if you can run that picture of the Oracle photo for us. Oracle stated that the solution is part of a broader orchestration platform it's working on, designed to help its customers more efficiently run their networks and help them better use their virtualized networks in their operations. Also this week, a couple of organizations announced new members, including the Open Network Lab, which this week said it added heavyweights Cisco Systems and SK Telecom to its open source SDN Open Networking Operating System platform that's looking to tap into SDN utilization. The companies are joined the founding members for the Open Network Lab, and AT&T, NTT, Ciena, Fujitsu, Huawei, Intel, and NEC. Also this week, Open Daylight announced new members as well. They announced CA Technologies, Megaport, and Spirent to join their open source communication or open source platform project. That organization now has more than 300 developers working on their open source NFVs and SDN solutions. And those are some of the top NFV and SDN stories items for the week. Also this week, I recently had a chance to speak with Tektronix Communications about their views on the current NFV market. Tektronix was talking a bit about some of the savings when it comes to OpEx versus CapEx for mobile operators, and some of the bigger challenges facing the ecosystem for the NFV platforms. I started by asking them to provide their views on where the NFV market currently stood in its evolution. Jeff, you can go to the video for that.
Join in as well. I think your point is very valid. Where in 2014 there was a lot of talk and so on. We're starting already seeing the talk translate to actual actions, to actual virtualization, and that's obviously consistent with our product line and our drive to virtualize our products. As you can imagine, the talk has to take time to develop products because you can't just virtualize a standard product and move to that world. So that evolution process of the software is critical, and we started seeing that more and more, not just ourselves, but competition and so forth, and the expectation of the network providers. We're seeing the expectation moving up more and more to create this and become actual reality.
Yeah, excellent point. So, but the only other point that I would add is the key challenges that we're seeing right now in terms of our involvement with other customers is the whole orchestration and interoperability angles that NFV truly promises. So in terms of the adoption journey, I would say we are still at the infancy stages. There's a lot more to be done.
Yeah. Well, that's a good point. I mean, obviously, it does seem like maybe 2015 will be a year where perhaps orchestration, because that is going to be a major part of NFV. Once, obviously you have to get the standards in place and everything as well. But it does seem like at the end of the day, orchestration is going to be a big part of this because, again, if operators can't really, manage these NFV deployments and be able to tie everything together, the efficiency gains will not be there as expected. So it does seem like that orchestration part of it is going to be probably a big focus for 2015 then.
Yeah, I would totally agree because you can look at NFV in general. People talk about the reduction CapEx and OpEx, but really the OpEx reduction is actually much bigger than the CapEx in many ways. And that that realization cannot happen without orchestration. The movement to costs, so yes, there's value, but the big gold part at the end of the rainbow is when it's all automated, all orchestrated, and that will take some time. But slow movement, we already are seeing this positive progress.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a challenge to kind of make sure that your customers realize that this is probably going to be more of an OpEx savings down the line, because, again, people think about NFV and virtualization, and they think about, generic boxes and all this upfront savings, with just buying software, which, is cheap for everybody. That's so everybody thinks. And, it's just going to be this easy CapEx savings. But it does seem like that it is going to be that OpEx play. Is it, a challenge to make sure your customers realize that this won't be this initial savings, but it will be kind of more of a long-term play?
Absolutely. Not only that, you start seeing, again, like any other technology, you think of it from a product perspective. Oh yeah, okay, I have the new product, I'm done. We already are seeing with our customers that they have to change their workflow, their methods, their mechanisms. So that's what drives more of the longer term. It's not just creating the product, we sell it, everybody's good, we go home and celebrate. There is that mechanism to change all these processes, and that actually will drive more the timeline than the creation of the product.
Yeah, specifically, I think what Syed is talking about is the concept of the customers themselves adopting the DevOps attitude towards rolling out services, right? Because right now they're still in the 6-month NetOps mentality that really has to evolve towards a DevOps mentality and being able to roll out services in a much more faster manner.
Got it. Okay. Well, I mean, as we look at the market right now, I mean, obviously, again, orchestration will be a big part of it. But as we're kind of looking at it today, I mean, what are maybe the biggest challenges you see, and I guess, or what's holding up perhaps NFV deployments? I mean, obviously, there's still some standards issues going on. There's still, a lot of work. A lot of different organizations are working on different parts of NFV, whether it's OPNFV or all the other various organizations that was brought up. Etsy's obviously working on it as well too. I mean, is there a single thing that you guys see today as still perhaps holding up the process, or do you think in general it's moving along as expected and things are kind of progressing as you guys thought it would?
I would say that it's moving. The challenge is really comes down to depending where the pockets and starting with low-hanging fruit and moving to tackle big-hanging fruits. If you look at from a general environment in the network, if you split it into low compute, high compute environments, low bandwidth, high bandwidth environments, there's obvious areas. That's where you see the attachment of NFV first. The high compute, high bandwidth is more into the future. So it is a gradual thing. And it's driven by, and that's part of the challenge, when network operators' data is growing by 80, 100% a year, that's putting that horsepower and the high compute, high bandwidth a little harder. So it's okay, we'll get there. It's a step approach instead of saying, here, we're done and move on kind of thing.
Yeah, excellent points. One other challenge that I think needs to also be, to your question about the single biggest challenge, I think from a customer standpoint, right, from the service operator standpoint, the ringable neck, right, who manages accountability, right? In the previous world, in a box mentality, in a box and hardware software mentality, the ringable neck, the accountability is clearly there. Who owns what and who's responsible for what, right? Now going into this in a pure virtualization orchestrated manner, the accountability aspect is really not discussed. And I think operators have to go through a mind shift to figure out those issues, and those will take some time. And that's why I think what Sai talked about in terms of islands of implementation makes perfect sense. And it takes some time to go through those kinks in the process and establish those accountability aspects.
Got it. Okay. And it seems like too, I mean, obviously moving forward, as operators roll this out, there is going to have to be a continued support of legacy systems too. I mean, you kind of mentioned it a little bit. I mean, orchestration is going to be a big part of that. These operators have spent 30 years and hundreds of billions of dollars on a lot of equipment that's sitting in storerooms and out at cell sites. I mean, just everywhere on the network. And they can't just turn that stuff off tomorrow. I mean, it seems like a challenge for you guys is going to be really trying to tie that legacy with the future, at least for probably a several-year period.
In some ways, it's an advantage to us, not as much of a challenge. Because if you know about anything about TechComs, we create this end-to-end solution view. So given that we have products and they're all connected under our RSView ecosystem, So we create these new elements, new NFV monitoring functions that coexist under our RSView umbrella, and we are truly able to cover the network, both the old, the medium, and the new, all in one picture, one single pane of glass for them to troubleshoot the network.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that seems like that's gonna be again, that's gonna be a nice advantage for you guys maybe moving forward. Yeah. Because I mean, all the analysts I talk to on this topic, that's one thing that they always seem to kind of hide in the background is the fact that, hey, this is all great ideas and great technologies, but implementation is a whole different ballgame. I mean, things work great on a whiteboard, but when you actually go out to the field, it's a different market out there.
Still 2G networks and wireless still deployed in single B for 10 years to go. They haven't thrown away the 2G, let alone the 4G.
Yeah. That's
and in addition, right, like as this technology matures and goes from the CTO offices and strategy offices into the real network ops, right? Network ops are just asking the question now, okay, all these new things is good, but how do we manage, right? And that's exactly where TechComs comes in, right? We allow our customers to effectively manage their solutions, whether it is virtualized or physical, like Syed talked about, end-to-end. We're able to give you a view to your legacy as well as new networks in one shot. So as the technology matures and slowly transitions from the CTO office into the ops are really asking us, like, can you come and help us, right? That's the key thing, right? And I think that's where TechComs really has good solutions.
And to add the consistency, again, we want to minimize these changes on our customers. When we start talking about their workflow, just their environment, how do they troubleshoot? How do they know whose fault it is to go call to make sure we fix this or that? Having that consistent workflow, the same methodology to troubleshoot, no matter if it's virtual or not, it's a huge advantage to simplify their nightmares instead of making it more a small headache instead of a big headache.
Good point. That makes sense too. Well, I mean, and again, looking at the orchestration part of it, I know for myself, I haven't done a lot of work yet on orchestration or looked a lot at orchestration, but it does seem like going forward that, as we mentioned earlier, that's going to be a big part of this. I guess how far along are we, in getting orchestration nailed down, or at least worked into the system where that's going to be a part that operators can be comfortable with deploying into their networks?
We've had a couple of workshops already with key customers, and we're continuing to evolve that logic. Obviously, our goal is to create a mechanism where the service provider have their orchestration service management driving that information toward our RSView, our products and capabilities. So already we know the specific thinking, how things work and the evolution of that. So yes, it's not there. It's right now more workshop stages in definition, but you see the momentum that 2015, it starts POC kind of proof of concepts ideas into reality by the end of the year.
Exactly.
Okay. Has there been good cooperation amongst the vendors who are working in this orchestration space? I mean, I know with NFV in general, it seems like there's some good cooperation here and there. Obviously, there are still some of the larger companies that perhaps aren't used to cooperating as well as maybe smaller companies are. But are you finding that, at least when it comes to the orchestration aspect of it, is there some good workings behind the scenes with you guys, with other vendors, to kind of make sure that what you guys are providing can be somewhat standardized, or at least something that operators feel like, that once they put it in there, there's going to be good support for these systems going forward?
Standardization would probably be the biggest challenge right now. The market is extremely fragmented, and every vendor slash even service operator are doing their own. And 2015 is going to be the year, hopefully, that we get some standards and we get some consolidation in the market space in general. Because if you look at vendor space, Huawei, Alcatel-Lucent, Ericsson, everybody has their own orchestrator. And similarly, service operators themselves are doing their own internally, as well as specific with companies like IBMs and system integrators, right? So there's a lot of consternation in the market, but that's good. Competition is good. Eventually, it should settle down, and I think that's when you start seeing the critical mass moving into these environments. But until that happens, there's going to be a lot of this push and pull with the technology from a technology standpoint.
Interesting, yeah. And it seems like, too, obviously in the telecom space, there are a lot of already entrenched big vendors that people are used to hearing the names of. But it seems like this move to virtualization is really bringing a lot of new companies into the mix. Companies that worked in the data centers before, IT centers before, all these new guys who don't have that legacy telecom experience, but obviously know the virtualization part pretty well. it seems like all these new companies being involved and cooperation. It like you said, that standards parts could be a big challenge. It seems like.
Exactly. I think we've seen that with the example of Taylor, for example, right? Taylor is a small company, a relatively small company that was obviously acquired by Cisco late, I think, in the middle of last year. So yes, it definitely opens up a space for a lot of new companies to come in and provide solutions. But our key hope is from 2015 standpoint to put some certainty to the market. We as in everybody is in the best interest to actually start seeing some kind of consolidation happening, so that we know what the future looks like and make according adjustments.
All right, that was some great insight there from Tektronix. Again, that was Saeed Sadeh and Ravi Chidamori there from Tektronix providing some insight into the NFV market. Obviously, a lot happening in NFV these days, a lot of challenges ahead for the industry too, but again, we'll be here to cover most of that here for you at RCR Wireless. Well, again, for those who are looking for some more insight into the NFV space, we did recently release a report on the topic, which I think Jeff has a photo of the cover for us here. That should be available on our website now. It's a pretty nice report with some good insight into the NFV space. Feel free to check that out. You can download it there from the rcrwireless.com website. And also this week, we conducted a webinar on the topic as well with some representatives and panel members from OPNFV, from Strategy Analytics, from Hitachi, F5, and Metaswitch too. Again, some great insight there in the NFV space. So definitely suggest you check out that webinar. I believe it's on our RCR TV site. You can download or watch a replay of the webinar and some good slides there. So some great insight there on the NFV space. Well, again, I want to thank everyone for watching us this week on the SDN NFV Reality Check. Thanks again to our producer back in Austin, Jeff, for doing such a great job handling all the graphics this week. And I want to suggest everybody check us out again next week for a new episode of NFV SDN Reality Check. Thanks.